The royal starship of the Celestial Dominion floated silently above the silver-blue surface of the planet Orion. Its golden lights shimmered against the darkness of space. It was not just a ship. It was a palace home to the most powerful leader of the United Star Systems, the Alpha King, Kale Varen. Every corner of this place was guarded, but the biggest secret inside did not wear armor. It wore a soft smile and a mask of calm. Her name was Lyra Sen. Lyra stood at the balcony of her guest chamber, staring at the stars. She had dreamed of this moment for years, not of the palace, not of the royal court, but of stepping into the Alpha King's world. The world she planned to destroy from within. Her home colony, Solara Phi, had once been a bright star in the Dominion. But years ago it had fallen into silence after a mysterious incident. Many blamed the Alpha King's forces. Lyra had lost her parents and everything she loved. Since then, she had promised herself that one day, she would make the Alpha King pay. This was that day. She closed her eyes and whispered to herself, "Smile, Lyra, they must believe you are loyal." The next morning, the Great Hall of Light opened its tall crystal doors. Lyra walked inside wearing a long silver gown, her black hair flowing behind her. She moved slowly, gracefully, but every step was part of a careful plan. At the end of the hall stood Kale Varen. The Alpha King was taller than she had imagined. His dark uniform shone with silver edges and his eyes were sharp but not cruel. Lyra had expected a cold ruler. Instead, she saw someone who carried a quiet strength. "Welcome to Orion," Kale said, his voice deep but calm. "Your reputation reaches beyond the colonies. The council speaks highly of your wisdom." Lyra lowered her head in a perfect bow. "I am honored, Your Majesty. My people only wish to serve the Dominion." Behind Kale stood his advisor, Orin, an older man with gray hair and keen eyes. He did not smile. Lyra could feel his suspicion, but she was ready. She had practiced her words, her smile, even the way she breathed. Kale stepped closer, studying her face for a moment. "We need more people who can build bridges between the colonies. Perhaps you can help us bring a new age of peace." Inside, Lyra wanted to laugh. Peace? Her colony was gone because of him. But on the outside, she smiled softly. "That is my dream as well, Your Majesty." Kyle nodded, unaware of the storm behind her calm eyes. In the following weeks, Lyra became a regular presence in the royal court. She attended council meetings, shared clever ideas about trade routes, and suggested peaceful solutions for colony disputes. Everyone started to admire her. Even Orin, who had been careful at first, began to trust her little by little. But Lyra was not there to admire their trust. At night, when the halls were quiet and stars filled the sky, she worked alone in her chamber. She searched the Dominion's digital archives looking for the proof she needed. She wanted to find the record that showed Kale's hand in her colony's fall. Each night she whispered, "I will bring him down." Yet something unexpected began to happen. Kale often joined her after council meetings, not as a king, but as a man curious about her mind. He would walk beside her in the gardens or sit across from her in the library. "You speak of Solara 5 with great pride," Kale said one evening as the two of them watched the glowing rivers of Orion from the balcony. Lyra kept her tone calm. "Yes, it was my home. I wish I could have seen it," he said quietly. Solara was known for its floating gardens. "My father told me stories about it when I was young." His words made her heart beat strangely. He spoke not like someone who had destroyed a place, but like someone who missed it. She shook the thought away. "Don't be weak, Lyra. He is only pretending." But as the nights passed, Kale shared more. He spoke of his dreams of a united humanity, of wanting to heal the old wounds between the star systems. He listened when she spoke, truly listened, something she was not used to. This was dangerous. She was supposed to play the role of the kind ally, not feel anything real. One evening, during a grand celebration in the palace, Kyle surprised her. The royal hall was filled with music and light. Guests from every colony wore their finest clothes. Lyra wore a simple, elegant dress of deep blue. She stayed near the back, watching carefully, reminding herself that she was here to act, not to feel. But then Kale walked toward her through the crowd. The room grew quiet. He offered his hand. "Will you dance with me, Lyra?" he asked softly. Every eye was on her. She could not refuse without drawing suspicion. So she placed her hand in his. His hand was warm, steady. The music rose, and the two of them began to dance slowly under the golden lights. "You look distant tonight," Cale said gently as they moved. Lyra forced a smile. "I was just thinking. Of Solara?" She looked up, surprised. "How do you know that?" "Because whenever the stars are bright, your eyes change," he said with a quiet smile. "They hold both hope and pain." For a moment, Lyra forgot the mask she was wearing. His words touched something deep inside her. She quickly looked away. "You notice too much, Your Majesty." "Cale," he corrected softly. "Just Cale." After the celebration, Lyra returned to her chamber feeling unsettled. This was not part of the plan. She was supposed to trick him, make him trust her, and then take everything from him. But Cale was not what she had imagined. He was not the heartless ruler in the stories. Late that night, as she searched through the archives again, her hand froze on a single file. Solara V, Operation White Star. Her breath caught. She opened the file slowly, expecting to see Cale's orders to destroy her world. But what she found was different. The file showed distress signals from Solara's central station. It showed the Dominion sending aid ships, not soldiers. And at the bottom of the file was a personal message from Cale himself recorded years ago. "If anyone finds this, we tried. We sent help. The signal disappeared before we could reach them. I swear by my name I will find the truth behind Solara's fall." Lyra stared at the screen, unable to move. The story she had believed for years was wrong. Cale had not abandoned her people. He had tried to save them. Someone else had caused the disaster. She sat back slowly, her hands trembling. For the first time, doubt crept into the solid walls of her anger. The next day, Cale invited her to walk through the observatory tower, a high glass dome that looked over the entire planet. It was quiet, filled with soft blue light. "I heard you were in the archives last night," Cale said gently. Lyra's heart skipped a beat. Did he know? "I like to read," she said, keeping her voice calm. Cale walked closer, his eyes kind but steady. "I understand what you're searching for. The truth about Solara still haunts many of us, including me." Lyra turned to him, her mask beginning to crack. "Why?" she whispered. "Because your people were ours too," he said. "I never stopped looking for answers." His words echoed in her heart like a distant star calling home. Lyra wanted to hate him, but she couldn't. Not anymore. That night, Lyra stood alone in the balcony once more. The stars looked different now, not sharp and cold, but soft and wide. She whispered to herself, "What if I've been wrong?" Her mission had been clear when she arrived: pretend to love him, make him trust her, and then destroy him. But the truth she had found changed everything. Cale was not her enemy. And deep down, she felt something growing inside her, something she didn't want to name yet. Below the stars, the Alpha King watched her from afar, not as a ruler, but as someone who saw the storm in her eyes and hoped to calm it. The game Lyra had started with a mask of vengeance was no longer simple. Her heart was slowly stepping into a new battlefield, one without weapons, only choices. And for the first time, Lyra Sen was no longer sure which side she truly stood on. The royal palace of Orion glowed softly under the twin moons. The night was calm, but Lyra's heart was not. She stood on the balcony again, the place where her plan had first taken shape. She had arrived with a promise of revenge, but now, everything felt different. The truth she found in the archives was still clear in her mind. Cale had not caused the fall of Solara. Someone else had. For years, Lyra had built her world around anger. She had lived for that one moment, to destroy the Alpha King. But now the man she had once hated had shown her kindness, respect, and trust. He had shared his dreams for peace. He had spoken the name of her lost home with sorrow, and most of all, he had seen her not as a tool or an enemy, but as a person. Lyra whispered to herself, "What do I do now?" Her voice was soft, lost in the cold wind. The next day, Cale called for a meeting in the council hall. The long crystal table reflected the morning sun, and the great leaders of the colonies sat in their high seats. Lyra sat beside Cale as his advisor now. No one questioned her position anymore. Kyle spoke clearly to the council. "We have a new discovery. The fall of Solara Five was not caused by natural disaster or war. There was a hidden signal, something that blocked our ships before they could reach the colony. We have found traces of it again, near another colony. A quiet shock moved through the room. Lyra kept her hands on the table to hide their slight shaking. She remembered that signal from the archive. A false wave that made it look like Cale had abandoned her world. Oren leaned forward. If the signal has returned, that means someone is still behind it. Cale nodded. Yes, and we will find them. For the first time, Lyra felt something new in her heart. She wanted to help. Not for revenge, but for the truth. Later that evening, Cale met her in the royal garden. The air smelled of glowing flowers, and tiny light bugs floated like stars. You've been quiet, Kyle said gently. Lyra looked at the sky. I never thought I would hear the name of Solara spoken in truth. Cale walked closer, his eyes steady but soft. You deserve to know. You always did, Lyra hesitated. Her secret burned inside her like a hidden fire. He doesn't know I came here to betray him. She looked at him and finally spoke. Cale, there is something I must tell you. He waited patiently. When I came here, I didn't come as a friend. I came to hurt you. I believed you destroyed my home. I planned to make you trust me, and then take everything from you. The garden fell silent. Lyra kept her eyes down, ready for his anger. But Cale didn't raise his voice. He didn't step away, he said softly. And yet, here you are, standing before me, telling the truth. Lyra's throat tightened. Because I was wrong. I saw your message. You tried to save Solara. I built my life on a lie, and I can't keep pretending anymore. Cale let out a quiet breath. I always felt your heart carried a storm. But I also saw your kindness. You were never just a mask, Lyra. You were always real. Lyra finally looked up. His eyes were warm. She felt tears pressing behind her eyes, but she did not let them fall. Cale stepped a little closer. If you want to leave, I will not stop you. But if you want to help me find the truth, then stay. Stay not as a mask, but as yourself. The next few weeks changed everything. Lyra no longer played the part of a false ally. She became a real one. She joined Cale's team as they studied the strange signal. Together, they discovered that it came from a hidden group, a shadow force that wanted to keep the colonies divided. The signal was designed to create confusion, to make people believe the Dominion had turned against them. That was why Solara had fallen. Not because of Cale, because someone else wanted war. Lyra's heart filled with both pain and hope. Pain because she had wasted so many years in anger. Hope because now she could help stop the same pain from reaching other worlds. One night as they stood in the observatory tower, Cale showed her a map of the galaxy. Blue lights connected the colonies like shining stars. We found the signal's source, Cale said. It's coming from the edge of the old trade route. A small moon base. If we reach it, we can stop them. Lyra felt a strange strength rising inside her. She had spent years planning to destroy Cale. Now she was standing beside him, ready to fight with him, not with weapons, but with truth. She turned to him. Then let's end this, together. Cale smiled gently. Together. Their journey to the moon base was quiet but tense. The ship glided through space, stars rushing past like silver rain. Lyra sat by the window, remembering the day she had first stepped into this world. She had come here full of hate. But now, sitting beside Cale, she felt something she had almost forgotten how to feel: belonging. When they reached the base, they found the signal hub hidden behind old walls. It was not a grand fortress, but a forgotten place where lies had been built quietly. Lyra watched as Kyle's team worked to unlock the codes. As the systems came to life, a screen flickered, showing the same false waves that had once hidden the fall of Solara. Lyra whispered, "This is it. This is what destroyed my world." Kyle placed a hand on the console, his voice calm. "And this is what will stop today." Together, they traced the signal's pattern. It was complex, meant to confuse and divide. But Lyra's mind, sharp and focused, followed it like a song she had always known. She gave Cale the final code to break it. A soft light filled the room as the false signal disappeared. Across the Dominion, the colonies would now see the truth, that the Alpha King had never betrayed them. Lyra stood silently as the base lights dimmed. Her mission of revenge had ended, not in hate, but in clarity. When they returned to Orion, the Council welcomed the news with great relief. The hidden group's lies had finally been uncovered. Messages of trust began to flow from colony to colony. Old wounds slowly began to heal. That night, the palace held a quiet ceremony. There were no grand speeches, only soft music and warm light. Lyra stood at the balcony again, the same place where everything had started. Cale joined her, wearing a simple uniform, no crown. "You did well," he said. Lyra shook her head gently. "No, we did well," he smiled. "Do you regret coming here?" She thought about it carefully. "I came to hurt you. I stayed to help you. And somewhere in between I found myself again." Cale's eyes softened. "I'm glad you did." The wind moved gently through the night. The stars above them were quiet witnesses. In the days that followed, Lyra found a new purpose. She became an ambassador, helping heal old divisions between the colonies. People trusted her because she spoke not just from knowledge but from experience. She had carried hate and she had learned the power of truth. Cale often worked beside her. They were different, a ruler and a woman who once hated him, but together, they built something stronger than either of them alone. And in quiet moments, when the stars shone bright, Lyra would feel a warm peace in her heart. She had not planned to find love. She had not planned to find trust. But both had found her anyway. She remembered the night she had danced with Cale for the first time. Back then it had been part of a lie. But now it was real. Every step, every word, every look. Real. One evening, when the gardens glowed softly with golden lights, Cale found her sitting under a tree. "You look peaceful," he said, sitting beside her. Lyra smiled. "It's strange. I used to think peace was something people told stories about, but now it feels like home." Cale looked at her carefully. "Lyra, the future of this dominion is brighter because of you." She met his gaze and said quietly, "No, Cale, because of us." They sat together under the quiet stars. No crown, no mask, no anger, just two people who had chosen a different path. Lyra Sen had once pretended to love the Alpha King for revenge. But in her journey, she had discovered something far stronger than anger: trust, hope, and love that asked for nothing in return.